And we are live. This is a special show. Kansas City has made a couple of moves. Ryan is kind of like the Undertaker right now. He's a little sad, and I'll let him tell you why he is sad. So go right ahead, Mr. Tracy.
I'm in mourning for the fullback that was. Folks, we have some updates for you. Unfortunately, Mike Burton is no longer a Kansas City Chief. It is the end of an era, and while I turn up the lights on our shot, the lights in my soul are dim.
Yep. But we do need to get into talking, and we can talk about Mike Burton at the end of this. Charles Omenihu signed a 2-year deal with Kansas City. This is going to be, I think, a perfect fit for defensive end. This really helps this roster. This really helps get them to a point where they don't have to reach for any position now in the draft.
That is probably the key. This is the setup point. And I talked briefly about Omenihu just the other day when we were doing our edge review about guys that I like that maybe aren't so much on the radar. Well, this is classic. This goes back to when he came out in the draft. Brett Veach, just like I had him as at least a third-round pick. I'll bet Brett Veach might have had him a little higher, and he has turned into what was a tweener that was a chance to be taken on to a guy that can produce in a number of different ways. He's the hybrid in the positive sense rather than the tweener in the negative sense. And I think
really
now
quick,
at edge, go ahead.
I was just going to say really quick, we did get the numbers. It looks like it's 2 years, $16 million base, up to $20 million with incentives. So that also means Kansas City is going to have to make some more cap moves, some more restructures to be able to get him under the cap and be able to take care of that. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but it just came out. So I wanted to throw that out there.
That's perfect. I mean, and let's be real about what this is. This is a guy who started in Houston, of all places. I believe it was a trade that sent him to San Francisco. I could be wrong.
That sounds right.
Playing for another technically solid, superior athlete defense. Stop me when this sounds unfamiliar, because this is what we saw happen this last season in 2022. It was 32, 32, 33. Those are the total number of pressures he had in his first 3 years. 2022, he jumps up to 62 pressures on the season, 7 sacks. And that was the light switch getting flipped. And I think that's really the difference in why he became a viable option for the Kansas City Chiefs in a way that maybe we didn't think he was before.
Yeah, and the bigger thing to me is, and I don't have the tweet in front of me or I'd read it, but there was like 5 or 6 guys that are premier pass rushers in the NFL, and those were the only couple of guys that were actually be in front of him when it came to pressures in the NFL last year. We're talking Nick Bosa was one of them. I'm guessing Chris Jones was probably another one of them, although he's not defensive end. Reddick, I guess, would probably be another, but it was all the premium guys. It was the premier pass rushers, and he is right behind them in like 6th or 7th place in pressures. That's huge. Kansas City getting that next to Karlaftis and bringing back Wharton and having Jones, that's a big deal.
Yeah, and the only thing left is to really solidify the finishing percentage, because in terms of pressure this season, he was better than Frank Clark. He produced more than Frank Clark has the last 3 seasons since 2019, since the magical run, right? And right then, he was right on track with what Frank Clark did in 2019. He just didn't finish as often. Frank got 13 sacks on that season, whereas Omenihu topped out here at 7. But he's never been built as a top free agent edge rusher, right? I mean, this contract, I think, says it all. When edge rushers at the top of the class are going for 20 per year, I think this kind of levels out and gives you a value that you feel can rotate in. He can play inside if he has to at times, just like Frank Clark could. Lets you move around, not just with George Karlaftis, but with Mike Dana and with what I expect to still be a draft selection.
Yeah, and the key there, and I want to say something a little bit different what you said. I wouldn't say inside if you have to. I would say inside as a rotational piece, because I do think that they're going to break him down inside, much like they've done with Karlaftis, much like they've done with Mike Dana. I think that that's part of the reason that they wanted to bring him here, is because he is so versatile. He can play any position on the defensive line, and that's huge to have that scheme versatility, to be able to bring that to this defense and to add the pass rush to Chris Jones. And I'll be honest, like, I expect them to go out and get a defensive end, and maybe they'll be able to get somebody that can step in and start right away. But it's not a huge need right now. Like,
right.
Yes, you would love to get another defensive end. Yes, you always want more pass rush, always. But now you're in a position where you have your left tackle, you have your defensive end. The next move that the next piece that people would say they need is a wide receiver. They could go any direction in the draft right now.
Yeah, again, it sets up the theory that they can do what they want when they have to in this coming draft. And that's something that I think Brett Veach has learned the hard way at times. Breland Speaks comes to mind. McCall Hardman, I think, was a forced pick as well, where you have to have something. And I think that's what they're trying to guard against. I just want to compare here. I'm looking at it, and of his 657 snaps this year, looks like just under 200 of them were in at the tackle positions. The rest were out on various versions of an edge rusher. And so it's roughly, what is that? It's about a 2-to-1 ratio. So two-thirds is edge. But that's exactly what you look for when you look at guys like Mike Dana. So I think that falls right in line with that versatile piece that you feel can fit what Spags needs on a given day and a given game plan and really come through for you. So as I take a further look at it, in fact, that's even more of a percentage than Mike Dana did this year, to tell you the truth. I like it even more because it unlocks different combinations of a defensive front that can get after the passer no matter what they're facing. They can move it around. It allows Chris Jones to still go outside when needed. You don't have to feel like you have a pigeonholed edge rusher that has to rush from the wide nine and can't let Chris do his thing from time to time. It is really, I think, the next evolution of the mush rush that we saw for the Patriots a few years ago. It's the Spags version of that. Everybody can do a little bit of everything, and maybe somebody has a strength. Certainly, I prefer Chris Jones at a 3-tech. That's just the way it is. But everybody can get everything done from every position on that front four.
And that's huge. And I'm sitting here looking at my Twitter because I saw something earlier and something about his wingspan, about when he came out in the draft. This guy's got long arms. It's going to be one of those things where he really fits what exactly Spags wants from his defensive ends. Let's see.
Stop me if this sounds – yeah, I was going to say check that, but stop me if this sounds familiar. He's going to be a guy that's going to be a 34-plus arm length. My guess is he's actually going to be closer to 35, if I remember correctly, just off the top of my head. And he's the guy that has the power to play power edge. He can set the edge in the run, and yet he can get after the passer, and we've proven that with his production numbers.
Here we go. I just found it. Sorry. 85.5-inch wingspan. 85.5. That is ridiculous. 36-inch arms.
There you go.
36.5-inch vertical.
If anyone out there is hoping and praying that Nolan Smith becomes a Kansas City Chiefs, folks, I love Nolan Smith's game, and I love him as a 3-4 outside linebacker. He ain't a Spags guy because Charles Omenihu is the prototype now of what a Spags guy is. Cue the Tyree Wilson talk, and do they trade up to go get an edge rusher? Spags has a type. That's just the way it is.
He does have a type, but I would also say, based on what Clark was able to do last year, maybe they're going to look at adding a guy to a rotation that doesn't necessarily fit exactly what Spags normally wants, because that still gives you somebody that could blow around the edge, which is exactly what they need. They don't have that right now. They have guys that can get to the quarterback, but it's not going to be somebody that's generally going to blow by you.
Yeah. Hey, from your lips to Spags' ears, I hope, because let's be certain. And the reason I'm not saying Brett Veach here, folks, is because Veach is going to do all the homework. He's going to know the pluses and minuses on every guy out there, but it is going to be Spags that gets it tailored to him exactly how it went down last year with George Karlaftis. So that's why I keep coming back to this is what Spags wants. 280, 36-inch arms. I mean, it doesn't get much more perfect for Spags than that.
No, it doesn't. And that is going to be it for us tonight, folks. Sorry, Ryan, that you lost your boy in Mike Burton. I'm sure we will probably talk to him again before the season starts, I would imagine, or Ryan might talk to him again. We will see.
I'll have something for you next week because I just talked to him 3 days ago.
Well, there you go. So we will have something for you. But we wanted to get something out because this is a huge signing for Kansas City. It opens so many things up for them, and I think that this is going to be one of those things. The other part about this that I love, he's 25 years old. I think going to be 26 when the season starts. You are getting somebody that is just hitting the prime of his career, and I think it could be a great fit in Kansas City. Thank you. Let us know what you think in the comments on YouTube. Go hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the notification bell. And Ryan, you got anything left?
No, that's it. Have a great night. We'll talk to you tomorrow.